And Jack is one of the best instructors out there. He won't say it because he's a fucking humble fucking guy. You want to learn really good quality Rickson Gracie interpretation of Jiu-Jitsu. Jack is awesome at it. Awesome at it. And Rickson agrees. Go, Jack.
I'm Zach, and I'm here with Jack. Jack has visited us here this weekend with Chris Howder seminar, which was pretty cool.
Very cool.
Can you tell me a little bit about you coming across him, what that was like?
With Howder?
Yeah.
It was really interesting. I didn't know who he was. I obviously know about the Dirty Dozen and some of the old school guys. My instructor is one of the Dirty Dozen, Dave Kama. And I saw his video where he just gave the history of the guard, and it was just entertaining. It was the Globetrotters video. And so I had watched it, and I think it was 2 weeks later, it was maybe 4 years ago, Crone Gracie was having his first MMA fight in Japan. So Rickson's taught on Mondays and Wednesdays at Crone's Academy to take some of the burden of teaching off of him. So I went up and I took all those classes that I could on the Mondays and Wednesdays. And then I walk in and I see Howder, and I was like, hey man, I saw your video, love your stuff. He was like, that's great. And we chatted, and we ended up drilling. I think it was for that class after Rickson taught, and we were just training partners the whole class. And then the next week I see him again. He's like, Taufer, you're with me. And so we ended up drilling for a long time. And then he invited me up to teach a clinic at his garage. And then I knew some people that were fans of his, so I got them to get him out to New York and Canada to do some seminars. So we just kind of became friends, and I highly respect the guy. His jiu-jitsu is obviously sick, and so we just kind of bonded and became acquaintances, good friends, whatever. And so he I don't know why this one, but he wanted me to teach alongside him at Straight Bus Gym Portland, which was total honor.
Yeah.
He had to be
Glad
here.
we had you. What was Dave Kama like?
Oh,
what
Kama?
Was he like? Yeah.
Yeah, I tell people, if you ever want to know what it feels like to roll with a Rickson black belt, just lock up with Kama. I got started in jiu-jitsu in 95. I saw UFC number 4. I was a little punk rock skater kid, and I'd end up in back alleys and weird places getting picked on and stuff. So I'm like, I gotta learn to fight. And fortunately, my cousin showed me UFC number 4, went to the phone book, looked up Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, and it was one of the only places in Salt Lake City. There was someone in Hawaii, Helson was in Hawaii, the guys were in Southern California. Henzo, I think, was in New York at that time, maybe not yet. And Pedro Sauer moved to Utah for some strange reason. And I was fortunate, so I'd take the bus, go take classes, and I'd skateboard down the hill back home. It was perfect. And I first met Rickson in 95. I took a seminar in Tampa, Florida. And Rickson had brought David Kama out at that time. He was a brown belt to be his assistant. So Dave Kama used to travel all over the place with Rickson as the assistant for seminars. And I have a thing for faces. I just remember people's faces. I have a hard time remembering names, but everyone's face I remember. So I think it was the year, it was 99 or 2000. I'm sitting down at this jiu-jitsu tournament. I think it was a Copa Pacifica. And I look over and there's Dave Kama. And I was like, hey, I remember you from Tampa in 1995. And I just moved to California. He's like, oh, I teach down here in Orange County. So I got his number. And so I started with him, I think, in the year 2000. Pedro Sauer gave me my blue belt in, I think it was 98, maybe it was 96, I kind of forget. And then Dave gave me my purple, brown, and black in my first degree. So, yeah, and he's super laid back, super kind of old school. The school for a long time, there was Rickson Gracie, Los Angeles, and there was Rickson Gracie, Orange County. And so he had 2 academies, and he used to drive down and teach in Orange County all the time. And I think it was right when Dave got his black belt, or right before that, Rickson just gave him the academy, and he was the main instructor, so he kind of just inherited it. And
That's
so,
awesome.
yeah, we were down there. And then when Rickson got rid of the Rickson Gracie International, his whole global network, Dave was just, yeah, we're Rickson, but we didn't have a website, no phone number. It was just the same 10 dudes for the last 20 years. And now we've making it into a school, and we have another location in Dallas, and it's expanding, and some other affiliates and stuff. But yeah, he's just a super laid back guy, great instructor, super tolerant, be able to put up with me for 20 years.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, we managed to put up with you for a weekend, but 20 years can seem like a long time.
Yeah, exactly.
When we were hanging out, and you talked to me about how you had gone to this academy and they were not receptive at all. Can you talk about that experience a little bit? What that's like?
It's kind of funny. A buddy of mine, he put together this thing called Black Belt Without Banners. We have all kinds of schools down in Southern California, Gracie Academy, Eight Toast, like Baja, competition schools, all these different things. So we get these black belts. His name's AJ. He arranged this thing and he got all these people together. And I'm sitting there watching all these black belts. And it's kind of funny. We're all sort of convinced our instructor's like the right one. And then, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. I see that you do that technique, but I know the real jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? And because of your lineage or whatever, just like that's what you kind of adopted or gravitated to. And then some people aren't like that. They want to just see other versions of the technique, see if it fits in their game. So I went to one academy, and it was funny. I was there for a seminar, and it was just awkward, and nobody really wanted to do the techniques, and that was quite strange. But coming here, I think I tried to work with every single person in the gym, and everyone was, happy to be there. They were engaged. They were doing it. They were interactive, asking questions. So however you guys, Matt, yourself, all the instructors here have created that environment to want to learn and be here and have fun. You've done a good job on it, and it was really apparent when I was showing this stuff yesterday.
You should be able to stay totally upright with just your hip.
So he's applying maximum leverage and weight right now, and you're still stable. So this is excellent. Good.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what I was doing. I was giving it up.
Yeah.
I start right, and then I give it up.
Exactly. That's exactly what people do.
Right?
It's better. Thanks, Jack.
Yes, sir. I don't feel your hip engaged at all. Yes. Do a J-Lo booty. Yes. Now, rotate, yes. More. Yes. How stable you are? Yeah. Good. Let me do two. I actually wanted to start this interview. It was on my mind beforehand to thank Matt Thornton, Chris Howder, and you for having me here. It was an honor. And I looked into the gym, and it's like when you walk in up front and you just see all the people that this gym has created and trained with and stuff. It's very impressive. And yeah, I'm impressed, and I'm very honored and happy to be here. So I actually wanted to start with that.
Thanks. Well,
yeah.
we're very happy to have you here.
Thank you.
The students loved it as well.
But you should be able to counter all those things.
Without using my hands.
Yeah. That's the true test. And then the hands are there as backup. It's like your core, your posture is what keeps you upright. You can't cheat by that.
And that's another thing too. I don't know that there's a wrong jiu-jitsu, but there's some things that are more effective than others. So, sometimes people say that's wrong. It's not wrong, it's just a different way of doing it. So when I teach, I like to kind of go over why I prefer a method versus other.
During the seminar as well, you said that there wasn't any wrong jiu-jitsu, that you thought if it works, it works, but this is how I do it.
Yeah.
And that kind of took me back a little bit, because it seems like the fight is to constantly get to whatever the best jiu-jitsu is, and then that would make everything else wrong, obviously. So that's why I was kind of taken back.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. That's jiu-jitsu. It's like it goes through an evolution process. Different guys have different body styles, different, you got long legs, you're heavy, maybe I got little T-Rex arms, so some techniques might not necessarily work well for me or not. So you kind of have to figure things out for yourself to make them efficient. And just because it works for me doesn't mean it's going to be exactly right for you.
Okay.
So that's one way to look at it. Two, I got a lot of time in with Hickson in the last 4 years. I've had some privates. I went to a bunch of seminars. I went to the New York seminar, went to the Vegas seminar. He did 3 in LA recently. I got hours with him at the house. And then he was teaching a lot at Crohn's. And what's interesting about him is he's got the old school, traditional Helio Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, but then he put a layer on top of it of connection, and then weight distribution, kind of refined that. And then some of the ways that the moves are taught, they have some vulnerabilities, and so he's tightened it up. So who am I to say that Helio Gracie's way of doing it was wrong? I can't say that. It is right. But there might be a better way to do it, and so that's just more efficient, but it doesn't mean the other one's wrong.
So you're kind of using that as an explanation of the evolutionary process.
Yeah. And then, okay, so one thing I've learned from Hickson, And Henry teaches the same way. He'll have you do a move, and then he'll poke a hole in it. And then he goes, okay, well, now do this move. And he pokes a hole in it. And he goes, and then they'll tell you, okay, so when you're doing that, this is what I'm doing. And then I'm stopping you. And they're like, yeah, okay, so let me do this same move to you, and then you stop me like I just did to you. And then he does it like the old school way or the traditional way or the way that most people do it. Right. And then you're able to stop him. And he goes, good, let me show you how I do it. And he just blows right through your defense. Right. Or the way you're like trying to stop him, and he just does it anyway. So he added a layer of efficiency on top of stuff. And he also added a layer of like the connection and weight distribution. So it just kind of made it better. But when I've been taught that way, I appreciate it because you might show me a way to do a move. Matt Thornton shows me a way to do a move. Kama shows me this. Pedro Sauer shows me this. And there's 7 different ways. And they're all like higher ranking guys, and they're all better than me and can like whoop my butt. So which one's right? I don't know. But when you show me the vulnerabilities and then the efficient way to do it, I'm like, cool, I'm going to adopt that technique, and I know why I'm doing it that way, not just because my instructor told me to, and it's dogmatic, and it's just my way or you leave my gym. Right. You know what I mean?
More understanding.
Yeah.
At that point.
And I really appreciate that. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That makes a lot more sense.
The J-Lo booty, if you're standing there and you have an arch in your back and you're sticking your butt out, a lot of people do that here, and I think that's good posture. It actually makes you super typical. So you want to do the exact opposite. You rotate your hips this way. Turn them as much as you can that way. Good, very good. Okay. So knees a little tighter. Good. Rotate your hip up. Yes. Now he's going to stay back. Rock solid. Untuck your hips. Yeah, stay up. Untuck your hips, but stay up. You can't. Okay. Rotate your hips. Engage. Yeah. Go core. He feels like an ivy. He feels like an oak tree. Here. Okay. Let's switch. Okay. So I'm here. I got my J-Lo booty sticking out. My back is arched. I'm not looking at him. I'm straight. The reason that I don't like this is because now I have to use 2 hands just to stay up. And I can't pass now because I have my hands are occupied just trying to keep posture. So rotate your hips under here. Now do a sit-up. Right, without your arms. Grab my knee. Pull me down. I don't need my hands to stay up because I'm using my body. Now I got hands to pass and break his guard open, right? So we're gonna just practice this. I assume everyone's gonna have a bit difficult time, and we're just gonna kind of like stumble through it, and then we'll get into more and more details about it. But really turn your hip up, okay? And one thing about me, I'm gonna try to work with every single one of you guys. Like, this seminar is for you. I'm here for you. I work for you. So if you have a question, if you need help, ask me, and I'll work with you, okay? So rotate the hip up. You don't have to look at them. I'm not extra like vertical with my back. I'm just actually pretty relaxed. Turn your hips. My knees are like squeezing just a little bit, okay? And it's like my pelvis is turned that way. Some people say point your hips up. Some say tilt your hips. Some guys understand it if you say tuck your tailbone, right? But this is good posture. Okay, so let's pair up with someone like your rough size right now. We're gonna get people kind of like similar size. Okay, 1, 2, 3. I had a little exchange with Matt before coming up here, like, what do you want me to show or whatever. I talked to some of the black belts, and it was really cool. It was like, look, just something fundamental. And then I like the term martial art because you and I could have went to exactly all of the exact same classes, and then you have a really, really crazy different bottom game. I'm a passer, or I'm a, like my jiu-jitsu is going to look different than yours, even though we both had the exact same classes. Right. Because it's an art. It's a martial art. It's an expression of your understanding of that. But our jiu-jitsu would have the total core fundamentals. We'd share that. So I like that Matt stressed that. And same with the black belts. It's like, show something that's fundamental, and then everyone else can kind of figure it out from there.
Right. Yeah. So that fundamental and connection, like 2 things you've already mentioned several times. Both of those seem sometimes to be like a little bit like
misunderstood
vague concept.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Can you talk about what those 2 things kind of mean for you?
Yeah.
I've invented my own definition of what connection is, and then Hickson might laugh at me if he saw this. But there's different ways you can connect. There's like your own body needs to be connected to itself. So if I do like a sit up, and I throw my legs, and then I'm like, I was sort of disconnected. So there's a lot of movements in jiu-jitsu where, you know, you're going to use your core, or you move, or when you step, your whole body goes, not your knee, then the shoulder, and this, like, everything moves as a unit at times. So that's a connection that you have, you know, your core muscles and all that stuff, that's connection. And then there's a connection like this with you, there's slack. Here, I'll do it with this hand so they can see. So this, even though I'm firmly grabbing this, if I, like, if you pull back,
Right.
there was 6 inches of motion, and then finally it tugged on me. So if we're doing judo and you pull back, now I'm late to the party. 2, the angles are all different now. Now I'm going to get tugged. If I just pull, now come towards me. Yeah. Right. So you got to jump on me. Now I'm late to the party. So if I grab your gi, I take the slack out, and I have my hand here. So if you pull backwards, I'm right there with you. Right. Now you come at me, I'm right there. So there's no slack. So my body is actually firmly attached to yours, and I can feel the sensitivity. I can feel things. In the guard, I have my legs. They're attached to you. The mount, my legs are attached to you. There's all these different positions where I'm going to be connected to your body. And so it makes it a lot easier makes everything easier, actually. If you can find the connection in any and all positions, it becomes more efficient, and you don't get surprised and stuff like that.
So that's kind of the fight, just like finding it in the first place?
Yeah, and then you have a good instructor, they're like, look, this is the point of connection. This is where you need to have that. Like on the cross side on the bottom, sometimes if there's a little gap here, and I go to move, actually, you know, a better one is the mount. I was mounted under Hickson. He submitted me like 5 or 6 times. It's a couple years ago. And I was like trying to get out. And he stops and he goes, okay, so why are you having a problem? I'm like, man, I can't move you. It's because you're Hickson Gracie. He goes, no. He goes, you were grabbing my hip like you're supposed to. You're trying to get my weight to this side on my knee so you can escape out this way, right? Yeah. And he goes, good. Look at your shoulder. It's like 6, 8 inches off the mat. I'm here, right? He goes, you didn't move me at all. So you did all this wasted motion, inefficient, and now you're trying to move me. What I should have done is connected to his hip first and foremost. And if I move a ½ inch, he moves a ½ inch. And my arm doesn't give at all, you know what I mean? Right. So that if I moved that much, he should have moved that much. And then my hip escape's super easy because that knee's really light.
So you're just trying to attach yourself to them in a way where you're moving them as you move, the same way you did when you did the sit-up.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's an example in that move of where the connection is. There's like, you know, there's the analogy that I do sometimes, like the kung fu sticky hands. Mm-hmm. That's connection. You're connected to him. The guy doesn't surprise you because you're just glued to him. So there's times where, like, there's the way Hickson shows up when you're on the bottom of cross side and the guy's trying to punch you, you can glue your arm to his arm, and he can never really hit you because you're just kind of glued to him. And you're not trying to stop him, you're not trying to muscle him, but you're connected and you're not surprised. And it takes the athletic stuff out of the equation because it's not now who's faster and who's slipperier and who's trickier. It's like, well, I'm glued to you, so I know where your hand is at all times.
You're not trying to stop them from moving, you're just kind of following them.
Yeah, I'm just connected to him, I know where he is at all times. And then for me, there's being connected to the ground. So on a cross-side escape, my foot it connects to the ground. My hip now connects to my foot. So it's not like if I push, they're not like in it. It's like these are the same now. And then my hip is like it's like my shoulder. So if you kind of think about it in a weird way, my shoulder is the ground. So when you push here, you're actually just pushing straight into the ground. So that's like an inner body connection, also connection to the floor. And then before I move, I connect to that guy. And then when I move, he moves. So it's none of it's wasted motion. And then I can escape my hip.
Right.
Yeah, so that's another definition of connection that I made up. Yeah, or figured out, or that's how I explain it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what, so now I've got about 200 pounds, and I have all 240 of you on my shoulder. Okay, so if I'm not connected, one, I'm not really attached to you here, so I was trying to move my shoulder, my hip, and now my foot, and it's like wasted everything. It's difficult. If I connect here, my shoulder is now like really like firmly connected to this situation. If my hip moves, my shoulder moves. So I'm going to step wide here, and I can bridge, and I can move. Yeah. So it's very efficient. Boom. And then when that happens and my hips are up, I can use this leg because it's here, and now I'm on my side. Same thing. If you were cross-side on me right now, if you get on your knees, right, and I'm in this position, push me on my back. Yeah. So I'm connected to you, and it's the ground. Like you're basically pushing into the ground.
Just turn your whole body to the frame.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And then when I'm in this position, I can use this foot to move my hips. I can go guard. I can go knees. Whatever. But that's an example of me, a smaller dude, moving a lot of weight. But it wasn't because I'm extra strong or explosive or fast. It's because I was connected to you, my body was connected to itself, and it was firmly connected to the ground. So that's an example of all three types of connection.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So for you then, what's your definition of a fundamental?
That one's kind of tricky. Everyone agrees like fundamentals of what makes everything work, right? But a lot of people, if you go to like a newer school gym, their fundamentals is like, yeah, you know, the basics are involved. And then, but I swear to God, you guys are laughing, but I feel like this is the basic that we even got. And I'm like, I'm lost with that stuff. So the word fundamental is kind of debatable. Like, what is that? I mean, most people would probably agree with the basic positions, mount, guard, cross side, maybe half guard now is considered fundamental. But so those are the things. But underneath all that is the weight distribution and the posture.
I don't know what exactly constitutes the fundamentals, but for me, what's really the most fundamental thing, and this is what I've learned a lot from Rickson and Dave Kama and Henry, is like where your weight's placed and the posture of your body. That's truly fundamental. So if you can do that, like for example, in the guard, a lot of people have seen the videos where, you know, Rickson has a video on it now, Henry's got stuff, I did a video, but about engaging the hip. So my body now, I'm very strong if you're trying to break me down in the guard, just because my body position and where my weight is. So that makes my being in someone's guard a real simple situation. It's not complicated. I get posture, and I can do a pass. If that's bad, then I have to invent 65 different solutions for the 800 things that can go wrong.
Right.
But if I had a better, not the right way, but if I had a good way to hold posture, boom, you don't break me down. I don't get involved in a lot of the complicated situations anymore. So I only need one or two passes. If I go cross-side on you, some people call it side control, and my posture, my weight distribution is good, my body is holding the position and my hands are free to attack. I only need 2 or 3 attacks, you know, like a kimura, a far side armbar, near side armbar, bread cutter choke, just a couple things, couple ways to mount. But the guy, if you're really, really good at your weight distribution, hold the position, you only need a few things and you can pull them off consistently. Sometimes if maybe your weight distribution and your posture on cross side is not very good, then you got to grab these things. It gets real complicated, and there's 60. He might do that, but then the face leg comes in, and then what if he goes this way? So it just gets really complicated. The more you're missing, like what I consider fundamental, like the weight distribution and the posture. I was at Crohn's. I think it was 3 years ago, maybe it was 4. And it was really cool, man. Rickson is such a great instructor because he really cares. Like anyone in there, he's like, a white belt. I watched him treat a white belt exactly like some of the coral belts that came in. They have a question, okay, yeah, here, let me work with you, and he'll just like work with you. So I tried to take advantage of that as much as I could. And so everyone's sitting there rolling. Rickson's off to the side of the mat just watching, observing. Hey, Rickson, I got trouble with the mount. Well, let me see. And then he gave me just like a half hour just Q&A in the academy, just like, I'll work with you. You're here to learn. You want to learn? I'll teach you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but I had all these problems with mount. So then I had to just go belly on belly mount and like hold because my weight distribution sucked. And then my posture was bad. If this is someone's torso, this is their hips, their head's here. You can be, if you're too low on the hips, they upa, you can get launched. But if they try to wrap their legs around you or do any of those legs, get their legs involved in the escape, it's real difficult. So that's the plus side. The minus is I'm gonna get launched. If I'm way up in the armpits, like super far high up in their armpits, that their bump in their upa doesn't affect me much, but the legs can get involved and it can cause me problems. If I'm in the middle, kind of between the two, or like in the right, not too far down, not too far north, the legs aren't really a problem, the upa is not really a problem. And then there's a matter of weight distribution.
Here, I'm at -10, and if he pushes me, I'm at -20, and there's no recovery. If I'm obviously here, I have to work to get back here, so ideally you want to be in this. Every position in jiu-jitsu has the middle. And one of the best classes I've ever attended was, Hickson did an hour-long class of the middle. Just that concept. And he showed it from, if you're in the guard, this is the middle. If you're in someone's guard, each position in jiu-jitsu has a spot where you're not overcommitted in any direction, and even better, you can react. It's funny, he said he figured that out when he was a kid. He said he'd have his books, and he'd get on the bus to go to school, and he would say, I'm not gonna touch I'm not gonna hold on to anything. So he just figured out how to keep his balance. And he said sometimes the bus driver would see what he was doing and pump the gas and hit the brakes and turn fast, and they would have a little exchange, a funny exchange. But he kind of developed that sense of that balance and all that stuff. But then he found it in all these different positions. So standard headlock escape, like a bully headlock escape. Right. So this sucks because you're such a big dude, so we'll see if I can do it. So a lot of the problem a lot of the times is I'm supposed to tuck my chin and get on my side. Mm-hmm. So if you want to be aggressive, you put me back here, and I do all this work, and I get there, and then just push me back again. Yeah. So some people show to place this foot to be like a bridge back here, so push me, and it's like I have to fight. You push me, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, it's real difficult. So Hickson showed me, I'll just grab my head instead of a, can I say? Yep. So if I connect, you're gonna feel it. This is not connected, even though my shoulder's touching your back, I'm not connected to you. So put me flat on my back again, and I'm gonna try to, do it again. I'm trying to push it off my leg. Okay, not connected. If I connect here, push me back, I'm stable. If I disconnect, do it again, I'm not. So when I get my position, boom, I connect. Now push me back. Now I can do all my different escapes. So that's like something that's really interesting. You connect this shoulder to the guy, and now my position's extra stable. But if I don't have that, I lose all my progress. Gotcha. I get to my side, I tuck my chin, I'm here. If this is loose, boom. If this is nice and connected, now I'm stable. Go cross side on me. Okay? And then switch your hips for that step over mount. Switch your hips to my feet. Yeah, so I'm in this position. Mm-hmm. Okay, my job is to here and bump you over. Plant your foot. Yeah, so if I go, it's difficult, right? Right. I'm not connected. So if I connect, I take out all the slack between my body and your body. So I'm basically kind of pushing into you, and I'm here. There's no wasted motion as I move, and then I bump into you. Those first couple of inches of motion were crucial, but they were just wasted. So if I first connect, now I'm here. Ooh, shit. It's like all of my energy, my motion translates directly into your body. If there's just that small gap, all that was wasted.
Right. And I was driving into the mat too.
Yeah. Not connected.
Right.
Connected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So that's a cool version of connection.
Right.
Okay. Okay, he's got heavy in the knees. He's not sitting on me. The upa's not really affecting him. So with Hickson, I was here and here, all of that wasted motion. And then I'm sitting here trying to get you heavy on that one. I wasted all of my energy and efficiency. If I connect to you, I'm firmly connected to you. I'm now like, it's like my hand is melted or fused to your hip or your pelvis. Your pelvis now is my shoulder. It's like the same thing, structurally connected. My shoulder is the same thing as my hip, and my foot's in the ground. Now I'm out. Okay? So when I move, you move.
There's no wasted energy.
Right.
Here, foot, hip, shoulder. Okay? I can either go butterfly guard or maybe a foot lock.
Right.
Yeah,
Cool.
so that's connection.
It's really cool to get some of that stuff clarified.
Yeah.
Really glad you were able to come out, and appreciate it. I hope we can have you back up here soon.
Yeah, I'd love to. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jack.